listening to Live from the CRJ. Today we sit down with Calvin Duncan, an elected official, legal advocate, and a man who survived nearly 3 decades of wrongful incarceration. Now, stepping into public office, his story raises a bigger question. Does our system truly believe in second chances, or does it resist them? So, Calvin, I'll let you kind of introduce yourself a little bit and tell our audience about the work that you're doing and, a little bit about the past and present moments.
Well, my name is Calvin Duncan. First, I didn't get a first chance. It's the crime that I was convicted for, I didn't commit. So it was no, I'm not in a situation where I committed a crime, rehabilitated, then came home and ordered a second chance.
Right.
So what happened to me is I generally always start off with, I ruined my life when I was 14. I started shoplifting for clothes, food. My mom had passed away, and I was raised by my aunts. And so when I turned 14, I started shoplifting because I needed clothes to wear. And I got busted. I got caught. And they took a mug shot. Then like 4 or 5 years later, the crime that I was convicted for happened. And so it was August of 1981. A young man and a young lady was at a bus stop here in New Orleans. 2 guys approached them, demanded money, and they wound up killing a boyfriend. And the young lady watched her boyfriend be murdered. They didn't have any suspects. And so they reenacted the crime and ran it through Crime Stoppers and asked the public, if you know who's responsible for this crime, you could get up to $100,000, you could get up $1,000 reward for the identity of the suspect. You know how they do it, Crime Stopper. And somebody called Crime Stopper. We didn't find this out until years later, that somebody called Crime Stopper and said that it was a Negro male named Calvin Duncan. That was the description. They didn't say Calvin that was 20, 40, 15, Calvin that was light complexion, anything.
They just gave out your name. And
they gave out the name Calvin Duncan, a black person, Negro male. All the Calvin Duncans, they targeted me. And then I was subsequently at the time, that I was here in New Orleans when the crime happened. But I was trying not to be a statistic, because we grew up knowing that we was going to get killed at a young age or go to prison at a young age. Right. And I wanted something better. I wanted to go to the military. So I wound up going to Job Corps one time, then I wound up going the second time. And I got accepted in the Job Corps in Oregon, Portland, Oregon, Mount Hood, where it was among those trees. It's in the mountains. I had never experienced that. And it just did something to my soul after being abused all my life. And so I found peace there. And then the police, 2 police came to the Job Corps to arrest me. I was 19. They said I was a warrant had been issued by the New Orleans Police Department for my arrest for a murder I did. And so I was trying to tell them that it was a mistake. They got the wrong person, but they still arrested me. I got extradited to New Orleans. And they put me on a unit in the Orleans Parish jail. That's the local jail. And I was telling guys that I didn't commit the crime, and they was telling me, look, man, you got the same lawyer that I have, the same judge, same prosecutor. You're going to get the death penalty. And besides that, your victim is white, and the witness in your case is white. So you say you're going to get executed. And so I asked them, some of the guys, even in the book, like Big Duggar, what can I do to help myself? And they told me I had to become a lawyer. I only had between the 8th and 9th grade education, and now they telling me I have to become a lawyer. And okay, so now I got to study legal. I got to get access to legal material to start studying, but it was no legal material. So what I would do is monitor the newspapers. So whenever a wealthy person was arrested, whenever they wrote an article, a newspaper article, they always put some law in there. And so I started accumulating these articles and making my own law book.
Wow.
And like I generally say that enough wealthy people wasn't being arrested for me to learn the law quick enough. So what I did is
Very true.
I actually prepared a motion, and I sent a motion asking for a law book. I explained to the Supreme Court, look, my lawyer's not coming to see me. I'm faced with the government position is that I should be executed, and I need to learn a law, and I need a law book. I ultimately got the law book. First, they told me I sent it to the wrong court. And I got the law book, and I started studying. And listening to the other guys, and they was right. My lawyers didn't come see me up until the night before my trial. My lawyers came to see me to see if I had a suit to wear. And I went to trial the next day. The government positions, they presented their case. The witness got on testified that I was the person that killed her boyfriend. 2 detectives testified that I gave incriminating statements. And the jury convicted me.
Wow.
And then they had to decide. I had a 1-day trial.
Oh.
I was tried by a judge named Frank Shea. At one time, he had 6 felony jury trials in 1 day. So everything went fast in his section of the courthouse on Tulane and Broad. And the jury then had to decide whether they have me executed or have me spend the rest of my life in prison. They voted unanimously that I should be spend the rest of my life in prison. So then I was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, probation, or suspension of sentence. But before I went to trial, I was studying the law. I was learning how the law goes. I was reading these newspaper articles. Guys was teaching me the law. I was getting my hand on anything that I could get my hand on that would teach me the law. So after I was convicted, I wound up getting transferred to Louisiana State Penitentiary. At the Louisiana State Penitentiary, there was a job. The job is called the Inmate Counsel Substitute, where we function just like lawyers. Here in Louisiana, once you've been convicted and your case has been appealed, you're not entitled to a lawyer. So what they created at Angola was a job where people that wanted to become lawyers, like me, I applied for the job and I became an inmate counsel substitute, but I shortened it up for Jailhouse Lawyer. And we function just like lawyers. Wow. I was in prison for 28 and a half years. 24 of those years was at Angola, at Angola. 23 of those years I was a jailhouse lawyer, inmate counsel substitute. And we function just like lawyers. We read people transcripts to determine if there was a full and fair trial. If there wasn't, we prepare a post-conviction application and explain to the judge, look, this person wasn't afforded a fair trial because of A, B, and C, and D.
And how many were y'all that were a part of the council?
It was like 54
okay,
for a population of 5,000 people.
Okay.
So, but we did our best in trying to help people get access to the courts.
Right. That's still a good amount of people looking through cases, helping each other out.
Yeah. And so what my life in prison had become is trying to get the records to prove my innocence. And that had become a difficult task. So I would write the Orleans Criminal District Court to try to get access to my records. I would do the same for other people convicted in New Orleans. I would do the same for people that was convicted in other parishes. No problem in getting records from other parishes, but I couldn't get records from here to New Orleans.
Oh, wow.
And without your records, you can't really prove, you can't support your allegations. And so that had been the thorn in my side, trying to get our records. For 19 of those years that I was an inmate counsel, a jailhouse lawyer, I was assigned to assist people that had been actually sentenced to death. Again, trying to get their records was a big problem. You could get records from every parish, but at this one, New Orleans. And I didn't understand that. So I spent a lot of time trying to get records. But then a miracle happened. A young lady, her name is Emily Bolton, she came to the prison. Mm-hmm. She was a third-year law student at Tulane. And we explained to her, look, a lot of us is innocent. Some of us not innocent, but we wasn't afforded a fair trial, but we can't get our records. Mm-hmm. She vowed that once she graduated, she was going to come help us, and she did. Wow. And that was the creation of the New Orleans Innocent Project. I'm a co-founder of the New Orleans Innocent Project. Mm-hmm. And I don't have to say the success that the Innocent Project New Orleans, that have changed their names now, mm-hmm. have had. But prior to, so the sequence, so you know Louisiana is the incarceration capital of the world.
Yes, it is. This is a fact. Most of them come from New Orleans. Mm-hmm. They nab us when we're young, send us to prison. And so we can't get our records that had been, so before 1985, you never knew what the witness was going to test. You never knew anything about your case. It was you didn't have access to the police reports, the investigative reports. But in 1984 and 85, they passed a law allowing insurance companies to get access to police reports. Police report is that report that the police officer prepare when they first arrive on the scene. Mm-hmm. They take statements. They get an accurate, description of the suspect or car accident, the whole works. We learned about the law being changed to allow initial police reports to become public record. So then we start asking for our reports. Mm-hmm. And then we found a lot of cases where people was innocent. Wow. And so that was in 85. Then in 1990, the Louisiana Supreme Court said, not only are initial police reports public records, the prosecutor files are public records. And then once we start getting access to the prosecutor's file, a lot of cases, the evidence, to light.
That's right, a lot of them. Then our legislature then passed a law giving everybody like me a time limitation to file in court. The article that they enacted was an Louisiana Criminal Code of Procedure, Article 930.8. It said people like Calvin, that's finding all this good evidence, y'all got 1 year to get in court.
Oh, wow. They really tried to
stop us from getting in court.
Yeah.
Control those documents was a...
Yeah, y'all were working on something, they jump in.
So that's 90. In 1994, 95, they passed a law that says that people like me in prison was no longer to be considered as a person for the purpose of getting our records. And that really crippled our access to these DA files, the initial police reports. But then Emily comes along, and we explained that we can't get our records. Yeah. We get records from everywhere else, but we can't get them from New Orleans. And that's when she created the Innocent Project, and she started helping us get our records. And bingo, they started doing the investigation, and a lot of innocent cases surfaced. They accepted my case, and they presented the evidence to my judge, and he said no. His name is Julian Parker. He said that I should have discovered this evidence years ago, 30 years ago. So he was determined to keep me in prison. He wasn't my judge, but he succeeded my judge. He had became elected. My judge, Frank Shea retired, and Julian Parker became the judge.
He took his place.
And he just denied everything my lawyers presented to him. But then a miracle happened. The prosecutors them stepped in, And the deal was offered, and I accepted the deal. And that was January the 7th, 2011. I always say that I told the truth in my case for 28 and a half years, but there's one day I had to confess to a crime that I didn't commit. Mm-hmm. And I was immediately released. Oh, wow. So I earned my freedom by confessing to something that I didn't do. Wow. Then I got out. And I went to the criminal district court in Orleans to try to help people that I left behind to get their records. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't get their records. Everywhere else, I could get people records. And I started this organization called the Light of Justice that helped people in prison get access to the courts. Mm-hmm. But when I went up, so I got out on a Friday. I was on Tulane University campus that Tuesday trying to figure out how to get to law school. And they told me that at first, Calvin, you got to get this thing they call the undergrad. I didn't understand any of that stuff back then. Mm-hmm. But I got my paralegal certificate from Tulane, an associate's degree in paralegal studies, a bachelor's degree in paralegal studies, and then I went off to law school. But so when I got out and I realized that our clerk, criminal district court clerk, was the only parish where I was having problem getting records, and now I see that I was blown away by the attitudes of the people that worked there. And how difficult. Then I'm getting parents calling me saying, we can't get our children records. And they have a deadline. Once you miss the deadline, you history.
That's it, yeah.
It was it. Mm-hmm. I don't care which you bought. If you're innocent, you get executed if you miss the deadline. You can't get the evidence, you get executed. Right. And I'm also I'm working on people's cases that is innocent. And they can't get their records. And I can tell you examples of some of the people that was on death row that I was helping. Yeah. And so now I'm home and I'm going in this court and I can't get records. And the most disturbing part of the whole thing was the people that was frowning up at me, giving me all the problem was people that looked like me. And that drove me crazy.
Yeah, our people.
But I said, something? And then I start investigation and I realized that they didn't know how not giving us our records was affecting us. They didn't know. They had a job. Nobody probably told them, look, you miss a deadline, preserving the records, making sure you preserve the records. But back then, when I started the Light of Justice, and I understood that the people that was running that office mm-hmm. They didn't even consider how it was affecting us. Right. They didn't. But I said I was going to run for that office because I realized I couldn't rely on them to take their job serious because they never was in my shoes. But I had to go get my education. Right. And I went off and I did it. During the pandemic, I got accepted in the same state where I was arrested, Oregon, Lewis and Clark. Okay. So I always say my life ended there at 19 and it was going to begin all over in law school. So during the pandemic, I got accepted in law school. I moved. I relocated to Oregon, and I went to Lewis and Clark. I was 57 at the time. In 2026, I graduated with my JD. I was 60, and I came back home, and I continued to do the work of the Light of Justice. Now I'm going back to this court, the same clerk office. And it still hadn't improved. Then the book came out, mm-hmm. The Jailhouse Lawyer. It was released in July of, I think it was July, on a Thursday. Mm-hmm. The next day, I was talking to some friends, and I said, man, I'd be glad when that clerk office become available. And he said, Calvin, today is the deadline. And you only got 2 hours. And so I said, well, when is the next time they run for this office? He said, 4 years. I said, I can't wait. And we made it to the court, and I qualified to start running. Right after the book launch, I started running for office to become the clerk of that criminal district court.
Wow. Full
And
circle moment for real.
yes, because what happened to me, I didn't want to happen to nobody else.
Right.
And I won. God bless me. I won.
Yes.
Won by a landslide. And then, Baton Rouge got involved in the election. They came against me. And now
he was not even involved in Orleans Parish or like he does from Monroe.
Yeah, my opponent, his name is Darren Lombard.
Mm-hmm.
They collaborated with the Attorney General and the governor, and they opposed me. Mm-hmm. They say some nasty things about me. And but the citizens of Louisiana said, no, we're not going to have that. No. And I got elected. Then they have a bill pending in the legislature, and probably done passed by now. Mm-hmm. They eliminate the seat.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
That's Reconstruction 101.
Right.
So what happened last week, I drove to the Secretary of State to get my certificate that certified that I won the election. Mm-hmm. And then I took the next step and I got sworn in, which was Tuesday. And I filed the papers with the places. And so today they debating whether to abolish the seat.
Still after that you've been sworn in.
Yeah, this is happening today.
Wow. So I didn't know that.
It's going on. It's probably still going on right now. They debating whether it's on the full floor. It passed through the Senate and now it's in the House. And they want to abolish the clerk of court. The governor wants to make sure that I do not take office.
Because you know too much. It's a reconstructionist move. What they did during Reconstruction. It is, but I do think it plays a part of you having the background knowledge of being in the system that they feel threatened by, because it's just they're going far to make sure you don't get this seat.
Yeah, so it's a movement by a group of people in this country now to bring us back to the time we was doing Reconstruction, and this is a start.
Yeah, they're picking on it.
And if they get away with this, then and my biggest problem with what they're doing is you could not like me. You could do whatever you want. It's irrelevant. Mm-hmm. My goal is to make sure that what happened to me never happened to nobody else.
Right.
But don't mess over the people that exercise their right to vote.
Right.
That's what I'm concerned about. Because it took a lot for us to convince people, especially young people, that don't vote, not even caring about registering to vote. And when I would go around talking to young people about registering to vote and why they don't vote, they was trying to convince me whatever line they had about why they don't vote. Whatever they tripping off, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But I'm convincing them, no, your vote do count. And this is what happens when you don't vote.
That's what they want. It's for us to not vote.
Exactly. So whatever intellectual knowledge you have as to why you don't vote, take a chance and vote this time. And they did. Mm-hmm. And now they're
coming in from all over.
This bill is reinforcing what they had already heard. Why they don't vote? Because your vote don't count. Right. So that's what I'm more concerned with. That
it's setting a bad message for what's already showing from the.
And I just made some headway in convincing them that they vote count, and that's my biggest concern.
And it's definitely taking us back. And I feel that actually today I was at St. Aug. We're doing a plantation to prison pipeline series, and we talk about like what it was like in the past during slavery versus what we're doing now, and the rules that they created to hold us back versus what we're dealing with now. Like how they're just changing the language, they're just changing how it looks, but prison is still a form of slavery.
But they're not changing the language. The language is the same. Mm-hmm. We need human beings to provide jobs. Right. And what's better? These rural areas where they're building these prisons
were plantations.
plantations where they taking people from New Orleans, blacks, a lot of blacks, and shipping them to like places like Angola and these other prisons to provide jobs for that area.
Right.
And, this whole system now, like if you was looking at the legislative thing, with the governor saying that he wants to eliminate some of the judges. Mm-hmm. And the judges are saying, no, don't eliminate us. You got the sheriff office, the jail, you got you got the whole criminal system that's making money and surviving off of who? People going to jail.
Right.
So this ain't no different. We still using human beings to provide as things to provide wealth for somebody else.
Forced labor.
No, the labor part is when you get convicted. How about the job that's created because of us? Mm-hmm. The judges got a job because of us. Yeah. The police department got a job because of us. Mm-hmm. The jail got a job because of us. Mm-hmm. So, it's no different. It's the same thing. And so I'm generally, I just think that we need to go on a more educational tour to tell young people, these people is creating environments so that you could destruct, get locked up, and provide lots of jobs for other people.
Yeah, that is true, because it is still the same.
It's still the same.
It's very much still the same.
And so my hope is always that we figure out how to create jobs, make something, create something. Don't just keep waiting and creating environments where young people destruct and then go into this system that need to be fed for other people to have a job.
Yeah.
And so in prison we was like, man, we got caught in this web. Mm-hmm. But God allowed me to get out. And I always say that first I thought I wasn't going to ever get out because the laws was changing in a way that would make sure that we wasn't supposed to get out. So I know I was never supposed to get out of prison. But so getting out of prison, it didn't take me long to figure out, well, if you get out of prison, why God allow you to get out of prison? Mm-hmm. And it wasn't to have fun and to forget. I'm a firm believer that when we see injustice, God doesn't allow us to see it and do nothing about it.
Correct.
So what did I see in prison? I saw a system that was preventing us from getting our records that would show the court that we shouldn't be in prison. And I got out, and that's what I've been doing since I've been home.
Right. Putting yourself back into the system to try to fix it as best as you can.
Exactly.
And I think with you having that background knowledge, like you bringing up to the employees there, do you understand how this affects the people that are waiting on their records or waiting for this paperwork to get sent with the deadlines? Like, when you're not, that's why it's like people have to kind of put themselves in other people's shoes. It's really important.
They can't walk in my shoes until they've been in prison. So here I am telling them exactly what you're saying. Mm-hmm. And they like, I don't care. You're disturbing my phone call. I'm on my cell phone. Mm-hmm. It's like, and then I got to go in this dirty place, this basement, to get the records. It's hot down there. So, I did understand their situation. Yeah. But now I'm explaining, so if you don't give me the records, this is what's going to happen. They're like, well, man, I understand that. But look, I don't have the records. And when I registered qualified to run for this office, 2 weeks later, the news people covered a story where the records was being dumped in the landfills. Now, what happens when you destroy the records?
It's gone.
I die in prison. All my friends done died in prison. Mm-hmm. Some of them been executed. So, like some people, Calvin, what motivates you? What motivates me is that when I was working on their cases trying to get their records, they died. Right. So I owe them an obligation to keep on doing what I'm doing. Even though they dead, I'm still going to work for them. I'm still going to work, I'm going to work, because I want them to be proud of me in the afterlife. You know, some people don't like talking about the afterlife, but it's coming.
Yeah, no, it's getting your, it's like like I said, the full circle moment where you're able to go and help.
That's right.
This was something that knocked you out of, what you said, 28 years of your life. So now it's like you're pouring back in where you could have walked away and said, this is no longer a part of me. I don't even want to look back at prison or anything about prison. So that takes another step of courage to still want to go back into that field and want to help more people get out that we're dealing with the same thing as you.
Yeah, it's not so much getting out of prison. It's getting access to their documents.
Right. The freedom for the ones who are innocent.
Not just innocent. If you wasn't afforded a fair trial, you're not supposed to be the jury. You are entitled to a fair trial. If it's documents that would show the judge that you wasn't afforded a fair trial, you're entitled to show that, right, whether you committed the crime or not.
But having the right protocol and the right people, in working there to help make
somebody that done been through that.
Right.
And in the process, what I learned is that I can't ask a person to do what I need to be done because they have no clue of what affects me. Mm-hmm. And so running for office I got to put myself in a position to run it because I can't like you to do what's needed for me because you have no clue of how things affect me. And the judges have no clue of how things affect us. The police don't have no clue of how things affect us. So we have to run. We have to get involved. Mm-hmm. We have to try to educate people. And that's what I did during the campaign. I had 3 methodologies. Because we used to wonder, do the people that vote, do they know who they're voting for? And so I learned nobody knew what the clerk of court did. Right. The most important department in this state, in this parish. Why? Because you lose your life and your liberty there. Mm-hmm. And we're in the incarceration capital of the world. So this is the most important building in this city, and nobody knows the job of the clerk of court. Yeah. It affects your life and your liberty. You could get the death penalty, or you could spend the rest of your life. Yet, nobody knows. So one of the things was I was educate people about the duties of this clerk, this clerk office, this office. And then let people get to know me. Because they got to do the third, which is cast an intelligent vote. You can't cast an intelligent vote if you don't know what the position entails and the person being asked to execute that position.
And that was what you ran with your campaign, trying to educate everyone and making sure they can understand where their vote was really going to.
To cast an intelligent vote, they got to know who Calvin Duncan was.
Right.
Now now they're in a better position to determine, is Calvin the type of person that I want to execute or to do the most important job in this parish? And they say yes. And now we are saying your vote don't count. So I'm generally telling people, especially my friends coming home from prison, these people can't help you. They have no clue of what you went through, or what you're going to encounter. So get yourself together as best as possible so you can run for these positions or you can apply for these jobs, knowing that you got to be more, because the people that has the job, they got a monopoly on it. Yeah. Because they ain't never been to prison.
That's true.
And they know they got a monopoly. They know that the person that's affected by it cannot run for these positions. So I was pretty much the first.
Yeah.
To set that example. Nobody can. And I'm sharing this with you because I shared with them, so we could give them grace. Don't be being upset with your representative. Mm-hmm. They just don't know what affects you.
Right.
And so give them grace, but try to educate them and knowing that they may not understand what affects you. And that's why you have to actually pull yourself up and run for these seats.
Right. And advocate for yourself and what you're going through. Because everyone's going through something completely different.
Exactly.
So that's definitely true for that.
So that's pretty much me, what I do. Mm-hmm. You know, people say, well, Calvin, how could you go back to that place? I said, Moses went back to Egypt, right?
Yeah. No, because that is something, like some people, they don't, especially for that long, to say you were innocent the whole time, it's just like, it would make some other people like, that's a dark place I don't ever want to be near. Like, you know, the trauma that I'm sure you went through.
Some of my friends could never go back.
Right.
Because the trauma that they have, prison does its job. It destroys you mentally. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I see that sometimes when I see my friends get out, they be so happy. But then then the reality hit. Where I'm going to live, what I'm going to eat, where I'm going to...
Right.
And so we started this organization called the First 72 Plus to help people immediately when they come home, because we always say that those 72 hours upon release is the most critical, because now you're being faced with something that you never was faced with. Right. Where you going to eat, where you going to live, what you going to wear. Right. Your community has been disrupted.
Working a job.
In society,
if you have children, how do you keep catering and helping?
Exactly, especially for the females. Mm-hmm. You know, and then, you know, on the inside, you live in these. You know, those things are taken care of. You have a job. Mm-hmm. You being productive, but when you come home, they're telling you, you can't get a job. You can't have a place to live. Mm-hmm. You can't get food. You know, and so being in prison that long. And then being productive and then coming home, and then you got all these laws that says and these rules that says because you've been to prison, you can't have these jobs. And one thing was during my campaign, I was exonerated. And that word pissed a lot of people off.
Wow, really?
It pissed the Attorney General off. Yeah. It pissed my Darren Lombard off. So he started attacking me. He was... You know, it's like Calvin lying to y'all. He's not exonerated. Mm-hmm. And my record is cleaner than neat. I got a clean record. But so now, and I'm saying that to say, when you get out of prison, now you got this stigma. Yeah. That society, that people.
Even after being found.
Yeah. Then people, you know, we in these biases and prejudices, that even make it more difficult. So that's pretty much what I do. I help people get access to the courts, because a person in Louisiana, you're not entitled to a lawyer. Mm-hmm. We are the incarceration capital of the world. People work very hard to keep us in prison because we provide jobs. And one of my duties is, to find those records. Yeah. Because if a person not supposed to be in prison, he's not supposed to be in prison. Mm-hmm. And then another thing that what motivated me is, sometimes a lot of times the victims want to know, why did a person have to stay in prison 20 years, 30 years, for them to find the evidence, for us to learn that we was wrong and identifying the person. Right. When our clerk of court in criminal district court, they lose the evidence. In 30 years.
Burn them up.
Or throw them away.
Out. Yeah.
And 30 years later, they accidentally finds it and test it. The DNA test get tested. And it's, y'all been having the wrong person for 30 years because that office lost evidence. And so that's what's, my reasons for running for office is that I don't want what happened to me to happen to nobody else. Right. And I know some people say, well, Calvin, no, put it behind you. Well, if you got some relative. How about your children? They want them. Yeah. They want your children. Yeah. If you have children, your children going to have to provide these jobs. Or if you got cousins, you got friends. This system, incarceration system that we have created, has to be fed.
And our people are targeted.
You damn, that's right. Mm-hmm. And so I'm always telling people, get involved. And you might think, well, it ain't going to never happen to me. Well, just be patient. Mm-hmm. It generally always happen to everybody. And, so that's what motivates me to make sure that, and then it can happen to me again. Nothing stops it. I'm old enough to work in them fields that ain't in prison.
Yeah. So you've gone from being denied justice to now being in a position of power within the justice system. What does that transition feel like for you emotionally?
So being elected and going through the hurdles to get elected, I felt that I had succeeded, that I had gotten a position to make sure that what happened to me never happened to nobody else. To me, that's the only thing I ever worked for in my life. I felt that's it. My struggles are over. I have succeeded. God has put me, I have done the work.
Yes.
But now to be told that it's about to be taken away from me. I don't know the words to express how I feel, but I knew I could imagine how the people felt during Reconstruction.
Yes.
Whatever they was felt, however they described it, that would be my description of how I feel right now. That they send it. It's like your vote don't count.
Yeah, it's a big slap in the face.
And like, who would take this job more serious than me?
Right.
It's not a theory. It's not textbook stuff to me. Mm-hmm. It's real life. Real life experience.
Yeah. I
saw the consequences of a dysfunctional clerk of court. I saw it. Mm-hmm. And then when I come home, there's no excuse for it because everybody else is working fine, but that clerk office. Yeah. And I'm proud of myself that I didn't see what was going on and just looked the other way.
Yes.
Because I firmly believe God is gonna ask us, what did you do with the life that I gave you? I allowed you to see stuff and you disregarded it. Mm-hmm. And I allowed you to see it and endure it, to do something about it, and you failed to do it. And I think it'll be a sad day I don't ever imagine me telling whoever created me, I couldn't do anything because I only had an eighth grade education.
You went far. You went back to school, law school. Right. You went back to where you thought was the end of your life. That's why I'm saying the trajectory of this is unbelievable to a lot of people who would have taken a whole different, less fortunate road. And I even think with everything that is going on, I do see our city is definitely pulling for you, vouching for you. We voted for you to be in this position. So it's really insane to think that they would just change these laws and try to act so fast because it is going with the timing. They're trying to make sure these things happen before you even really got in, so it's just, I know the words are hard to describe.
So that's discouraging.
Right.
But what's really is a blessing is the people saying, no, don't do it. It's not right. Don't deprive me of my right to vote.
Yeah.
That is, I never thought I'd see that day, but I'm seeing it. I see, they in the legislature, our representatives in the legislature saying, no, this is wrong, regardless of what. And then the citizens are saying this is wrong.
Right.
And
it's flat out.
They're being vocal about it. Mm-hmm. And that blesses me to see that, whoa, that's the thing that, bring me joy today. Yeah. That I'm seeing that, the New Orleans citizens are saying, and the representatives, our leaders are saying, no, this is wrong. We don't want to experience this. This is wrong. Do the right thing. Hopefully they would do the right thing. I don't know, but I'm a firm believer God is always in control.
Yes. And I do think that you're a very determined man. I can tell with all these hurdles, like even for me, like I get discouraged when things just don't like, I'm like, oh, this is a sign, like maybe I shouldn't do this, or maybe this isn't the path I should keep going towards, because all these things kind of make you feel like maybe I should just let it go, or maybe this isn't for me. But you're showing, like, even with the odds against you, you just have to keep fighting for your own voice and what you want to do. Like how you said, advocating, learning for yourself. Like, you know your rights because that's what you've been, when you were incarcerated, you delved into learning about the law. So, you know.
I'm going to tell you when I was trying to learn about the law, I read the Bill of Rights. It's 10. Yeah. And half of them directed to protecting people like me. The 4th, the 5th, the 6th, the 8th. And the 1st, the right to petition the government and right to access to the courts. So those people that had been abused during their time way back then, they knew who was going to need the most protection. Yeah. And they put it in law. Yeah. Half of the Bill of Rights is there to make sure that we protect people accused of crimes. Now, when I learned that, I had to decide which one of those amendments I want to protect. And it boiled down to I want to protect the First Amendment, right to access to the court and to petition the government. Right. They got other lawyers protecting the Sixth Amendment, the Fourth Amendment. But just, you know, when you think about that, half of the Bill of Rights is geared to protecting people accused of crime, because those people back then knew that's where the most abuse was going to be happening in this country. And they wanted to make sure that if it did, that people like me would have the protection. They just need individuals like us to use and to protect, you know, to protect the sanctity of these amendments and provide it for people that can't help themselves. And that's where the lawyers come in at. Or in the citizens. We vote for people that we think would never trample upon some of these amendments.
Right, who would uphold it.
Yeah. Like
and not use it against us.
Like the Second Amendment. If you speak against that, some of the most powerful lawyers in this country are going to rise up. You know, so learning the law and then also reading the Bill of Rights, learning the Bill of Rights, and realizing that who would know better protection that they would need than people that would abuse themselves. Right. And they put it in our Constitution. They put it in the 10 Bill of Rights. And half of them is to protect people accused of crimes.
And it kind of goes to show, when you, like you said, like when you know better, you do better. When we know the law, it helps us. Versus a lot of these young kids, they're doing all these things but don't really know or really pay attention to these changes. Even having Jeff Landry now, he's changing these laws so quickly. He's changing them. And it's like, how is that being taught to our youth? Are they going, like, are they even looking for it? You know, like, no one's really keeping in tune with what's currently happening in our city, government, state. Like, it's...
But those of us that are, we have an obligation to protect those that's not. And so that's where the education comes in at. Going out in the community, explaining to young people why they vote count.
And what do people misunderstand most about incarcerated individuals and their capacity for growth and leadership?
I think what's mostly overlooked is that something happened to us when we was kids. Everybody in prison that went through hell before prison. Happened in our own homes. We used to have group sessions. And I don't know nobody that was in our group sessions in prison that didn't say it all started in our own houses. Abuse, 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 abuse. And now we know that what that does to a kid's mind is restructures the mind. We know that for now because we used to execute kids. United States Supreme Court said, no, you can't, you shouldn't. Their brains are not developed. We used to execute people with disabilities. Say, no, that abuse has reconstructed their minds. So this is what I think this is what I know that outside world. Well, everybody I know in prison, our abuse started in our own house, and it messed us up, and that's why we couldn't stay in school. We couldn't make healthy decisions, like me shoplifting, and I hated myself that I didn't have the ability to say, I'm gonna go to one of my teachers and tell them that I need clothes to wear and that I'm hungry. But my brains didn't allow me to do it because of the abuse. I don't know if you read my book. Oh, that's in there as well. So what's misunderstood is how we got there. And because of that, we make unhealthy decisions and we wind up in institutions.
I actually, when we went to Angola, we did a tour and we got to speak to some men who were actually there for life. I feel like that's how they pick who gets to come speak to us personally. But they were kind of telling us about how back then, one thing he wanted to bring, a message he wanted me to bring to the outside world was bring back community with the black community and churches. And because he was like, when I would go home from school, we would go to the church and there was tutoring, there was, stuff, all of us playing outside at the park, at the church lot. Like, it was more like if your mom was working, the church women, you would just be staying by them until your mom got off, like bringing that real sense of like connection. I do feel like since COVID, we've all kind of become more hermit, more inside. But I do see where like that's like the most common thing I'm hearing is we need to bring back that community or taking away the shame that I think broke our black community. There was so much shame with, people going through doing things that weren't church-like or, like having it to where we can go back to a safe space. Even if something bad did happen in the family, there was a lot of shame and secrets, like all those dark family secrets, keeping it hush. Like that's what kept and broke the family apart, or what kept the, the darkness alive, is keeping those really terrible issues to yourselves or to that person, or just saying flat out that never happened to you. Like I do see where like as a community, we have to learn how to take some really traumatizing information, but how do you accept it, move on? How do you help that person who's a victim? So I do see where, like, it would take a lot for the community to get to that part, but that is what we kind of need, is more safe places. Because before we did have it. Like, I do remember my grandmother taking me to the church. I knew everyone at that church. They knew me. They knew her. Like, it was a big family that wasn't your family, So I do see where we're kind of falling behind.
We fell. And so, that was a good point to bring out. But what I would wish is that when we see our children, brains has got out of whack. Like, I'm going to give an example somebody gave me. If a plane drops out the sky, we spend billions of dollars to get one thing. And you know what that is? That box. To find out what happened. Yeah. When a whale come too close to the shore, we're going to spend billions to find out what's going on that's happening. And I give this example for, like, in Oregon. If a salmon, one salmon is short, they got to calculate this. They say 1,000 salmons come through this patch, past this waterway a year. If one don't show up, if they one short, they spend $1 billion to find out why. Why we don't do that with our kids when their minds destruct, other than punishing them.
Right.
So when we see that our kids has really, something really happened to cause this behavior, let's figure, we spend billions of dollars trying to figure out why the plane fell.
Right. Why
the whale is the sharks is coming too close. And why that one salmon didn't make it up north. Figure out what happened. And so we can start treating, not just punish. And that way, like the criminal court system. Judges them should have that authority to say, look, I'm not going to send this person to hundreds of years. But all that is based upon what? Taking authority from judges. Electing judges that don't have no compassion for kids of the mind when it destructs. So yeah, that's what I would wish, that when we see it, don't just punish.
Right.
But the system operates based upon that. It's like that.
It's the easiest approach.
No, it's the approach that needs to happen in order to feed this criminal legal system. This system needs to be fed.
Right.
So
they finding the food where they can.
That's right. So, we don't like incarceration. We don't like any of that stuff. We got to start having another conversation. There's a group of people need their jobs. Their jobs is predicated on people like me.
Right.
So if we really going to have that conversation, let's have it. Yeah. Other than that, just leave it alone. But that legal system has to be fed. Right. And they're choosing us to feed it.
I think from our interview with St. Aug, he was formerly incarcerated, but he did say once he got out, he saw a news article about North Carolina prison was doing a deal with the city or the state they had to have 80% population, and they are suing the city because they don't have 80% of their prison population filled.
That's crazy.
And that's a business. It's a
business.
They're like, oh, we have to get our numbers up. Like that was insane to even that they can, because even if you file the lawsuit, it's like, how does that even run? Like, how do y'all even go to court around that? Like, that's where it's like, this is really becoming.
Woo.
Yeah.
And we ain't got to read history. This is happening right now. It's like, it's slavery 101. That is providing humans to create jobs in a market for somebody else.
Yeah. Like you said, they never changed the job.
Well, it's still the same. It is like, and so that's why I do what I do. And so, yeah, that outside world, I just, we're not born bad, but shit happens to us. And then our brains are reconstructed to make unhealthy decisions.
Right.
Like, come on now. It's like that. That's, yeah. And you just, but that's what I think that the outside world is missing that most fundamental part is that. And it's only the criminal. Like if they create a car, and the car, when a car gets at a speed limit at 40, the door just open on its own. The manufacturer is gonna say, "Oh no, stop it. Let's find out what's going on. Let's find out what's going on." They're gonna have a recall. They're gonna have. So we do it in medicine the same way.
Yeah.
We do it. We do it with everything except when it comes to the mind as it relates to young, people that's making mistakes.
Right. Yeah. They're just labeling them
for another institution.
Suspension, expulsion for no reason. That's the school to prison pipeline, and how they're saying about how many kids are getting. I read the statistic out of 18% of preschoolers, 45% of them are getting suspended, and that's just preschool.
In the mid-90s, when they was thinking about cutting welfare, they also thought, they say, look, if we're gonna cut this welfare thing, what's the consequences? Parents was going to have to be working long hours, 2-3 jobs. What are we going to do with these kids? These kids going to destruct. So guess what they say? We got to start building prisons at a rate that's unbelievable. They ain't going to give it to you. Don't give their judge no job. Try to get a job as being a probation officer. Try to get one being a police, a prosecutor, a sheriff. Go try to get one of those jobs, and they're going to tell you no. don't give them one. And how you don't give them one, don't try your best not to get nabbed in that legal system. Because ain't none of them giving you no job. They ain't giving you one. I ran for office, and they still don't want to give me a job. So I'm not going to ever give them a job. That's the message that I would want to tell young people. They ain't going to give you one. Why would you give them one? Yeah. Don't give them none. I'm not giving them no job. I walk around here barefooted. You ain't getting, because you're not going to give me a job. That's the most radical reasons, things that I could tell a young person. And do your experiment. Go try to ask them to help you. And they're going to tell you no. They're going to give you the runarounds. But don't give them no job. And how you can prevent giving them a job is getting caught up in this legal system. You know, like I always say, you know, I'm comfortable saying it. The people that wind up, you know, they say they escape out the Parish jail. If I could have talked to them before that happened, I'm not saying they escaped, whatever they did. You know, message I would have told them before that happened. What? Don't do it. Don't give them no job. They gonna make so much money off of you, man.
Running out. Yeah, that was like 30, almost 2 months, I think.
They gonna make so much overtime.
Oh, you know, when you put it that way.
Don't do it. Don't do it, bro. Don't give them that overtime. Yeah. Because they're going to catch you. Don't give them that
Maybe overtime. That they was giving them that time, that wiggle room, just to let their hours roll.
Don't give them.
Because I never thought of it that way.
Don't give them that overtime. They making so much overtime on them young. And that would have been my message. Don't give them that. Don't do it. Don't do it. Please don't do it. Don't give them that overtime. They made so much money off of them just being, you know. So that's my message to young people. Yeah. Don't give them no job. That's the most radical thing that I could tell them. They're not going to give you a job.
No, but yeah, you putting it that way, that definitely, it speaks more volumes if you can really try to understand, like, the whole process about they're working. So them trying to keep these prison numbers up, that's a part of the job.
They need you.
Yeah.
And they ain't gonna give you a job.
Right.
And even if they use you for a few days and you get out of prison, they still gonna tell you, I can't employ you. So don't give them a job. We all gonna make mistakes. Keep on pushing. Keep on pushing. Keep on pushing. And keep in mind, my whole goal is not to get nabbed into that system. And the reason why I don't want to get nabbed in that system, not just because of my liberty, I'm not giving them no job. Right. You ain't making no overtime. You ain't getting no retirement off of me. You know, people might say, well, that's what it's all about. We provide jobs. And I hope young people hear this message. Give them your vote. Yes. Give them your vote. If you want to give them something, don't give them your freedom in your life. And don't give them no overtime.
Yeah. No, that's, like I said, that definitely enlightened me on that, because I'd never even thought of it that way. Like how it's more, you know, that's their job. Not saying it's just their job, they're doing it, but it is us feeding into it more and more.
It's a system that must be fed.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
And you continue to do what you're doing.
Thank you. I really
get knocked down. Just get back up.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Your story has definitely inspired me, because I'm telling I always have those feelings like, oh, maybe this isn't the time, or maybe I should wait, but sometimes things do come in your way.
God is always in control.
Right. You're right. And I thank you for coming. This has been live from the CRJ. Today's conversation is a reminder that justice isn't about just laws. It's about people, power, and the belief that transformation is possible. The question is, are we ready to build systems that reflect that?